This is the Chicana in the City series, and I'm your host, Natalie Garcia, and I'm back, and we're reclaiming our poder and saying fuck white supremacy.
I don't know what it is about doing something for yourself that just wakes you up inside. So I appreciate the interview today because it's doing it for me. But that's another thing too. It's not just pretty superficial clothes. It does something for you. And I want to do more than that. It's just wake up people and see the beauty in whatever it is that you want to do with your fashion, if it's new, upcycled, reworked, or even as far as like traditional, native traditions that we carry on. That's part of why I created that gala.
Yeah. Me, Elvira Zamora, the founder and creator of Thrifts and the Chicano Elegance Gala. And she's reminding us that our cultura goes beyond poverty, racism, and those bullshit illegal alien narratives that they keep pushing on us. Our resiliency is undeniable. And through our fashion and indigenous traditions, we're awakening who we are truly and celebrating our cultura beyond borders. And that's how we're reclaiming our poder.
No one can label you. Don't let that stop you. I wear that shit proudly. You want to call me an alien, illegal, and a criminal? Go ahead. I don't want
to. How can I support? Like, well, the link is in the bio.
Show up.
Just show up. Trust me, I'm giving you the easiest way you could support. Easiest. Show up, have a good time.
Check out the full interview now and show up in support for the Chicano Elegance Gala. This is Chicana in the City, and I'm your host, Natalie Garcia, and I'm here with Elvira, the founder of Thrifts, the creator of Chicano Elegance. I call it Chicana Elegance because, I'm in it. But yeah, no, I've been seeing you at a lot of events. We've kind of always run in, and I'm gonna play like the rolls and clips of different events that we've been at. And you are one of those people that are in community, not just like social media, but you are out there networking, connecting, building community, building events, building just in general what it is to be in community, not just showing or talking about it, and I gravitated to you, one, because I'm a fashion head too. I always say I'm a fashionista, fashion head, and not just like fashion where you're like, oh, certain designers and European this and it's like not down in the dirty dungeons, like sewing up, taking things apart, thinking of things, how to like, build and everything. Growing up, and I'm going to give you this backstory because a lot of people, they're like, why do you always talk about fashion? I've gotten a lot of shit about why I talk about fashion. And fashion for me, especially as a Chicana, I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere. And fashion helped me find my identity, express my identity. I wasn't able to really express myself, especially in our cultura, in our community. Yeah. Expressing ourselves in a certain way was like, oh, no platiques eso, no hables eso, all that. So fashion was my way of expressing myself. I didn't have anything. I really grew up in poverty. So a las yardas and the Goodwill and wherever I can find something. Like you were talking about the t-shirt, I would cut t-shirts, Barbie clothes, I would make them out of socks. So I have such a tight connection with fashion, but only that too. I saw my tias, my mom dress up and everything. It was just like I saw that. So you bring that into the forefront in what you do, and you're having these events where you center on fashion, not just for like the superficial,
right?
Pero the expression, the identity, and it goes beyond what most people think of fashion. Can you give me a little more insight on why you decided, your background really, because you've been in the fashion game for a long time, like let's not get it twisted, you've been in it for a long time. You are a fashion head, you are one of those fashionistas, you are beyond that, you're not just talking about it, you're being about it. So can you give me a background on when did you decide to go into this industry?
So my dad has been a tailor for his entire life, over 50 years. So I grew up around this, machines and his clients and clothes and all this stuff. So this is what I literally grew up on. But, when we're young, we want to be the opposite of whatever our parents are doing. And mind you, our parents could be the coolest parents on earth. We still want to do the complete opposite of whatever that is. So the bug didn't hit me until I was about to graduate high school. And at that point, I started finally maturing, because anything prior to that, I was a hot mess. So You just picture it, and I was doing it. I was getting kicked out of school. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd, trying drugs, acting a fool, doing things a 14, 13-year-old shouldn't be doing, blah, blah, blah. You live it. I've done it. And it was just a downward spiral, and I had nothing to inspire to, no goals, because growing up as an immigrante here, illegal at that, there's nothing to look forward to except deportation. Yeah. So what do I care what happens to me? Deport me, fucking kill me, I don't care. You are so distraught, you are so depressed, and you're like, there's no way out of my situation. My parents are struggling, I see the pain in their face, and you're in poverty. So it's like, I don't fucking care, fuck everybody, fuck society. And that's just a really bad attitude you have growing up as a child. And that's just what I had. So I could care less about anything. But then later on, again, matured, and the light bulb came on. I'm like, you know what? I want to do something with this. I really like it. I've always been expressive, even with my bad attitude as a kid. My dad would still make my clothes. He would make me things if there was like a dance or something. And I'm like, oh, I want this. Or because of poverty, I would see like all the magazines, and I'm like, oh, I want a skirt like that. Dad, can you make it? He's like, yeah, sure. 5 minutes, it was done. So I had the, new trendy things because he would make it. And so that just kind of came over me, and I was like, I just want to do this. It makes me happy. It did something for me. It's a connection to my dad, because my parents and I relationship was shit again until I graduated high school. Then we started to get to know each other and be cool with each other. Prior to that, it was a war. It was horrible. I don't even know how they kept me around. I would have kicked me out years ago. I was so horrible, but they kept me around. And so that was my connection to it, more so than just like, oh, I want to just do fashion, but it had so many different meanings, and the strength of what we do that is feared by others, because I believe that the way that you dress says something about you. It's either the confidence or fearlessness, and a lot of society wants to see you in uniform, not have an identity, not have a voice. They want to put you in what they want to put you into, and basically put you in your class. And I've also studied fashion, like historically. And so depending on what you're wearing back in the day, that would mean where you belong as far as class, whether it's jewelry, your hair was down, that color meant you were the higher, middle, low class, or you were, a bad person, a prostitute. Like, it's all this weird shit when it comes to fashion that people, if they ever were curious to look at it historically, it's not just, I have a pretty dress. It goes so deep, really, really deep. And if you kids, and I say kids to be funny, from the 90s who remember the dress codes that we had, like, I couldn't wear spaghetti straps to school. Mm-hmm. They would send you home and be like, no, you can't do that. It's like, okay. And then you couldn't wear, in the gang days, certain colors to school. You couldn't even wear, and you're in Pacoima, so you couldn't even wear certain baseball teams. Like, if they had the P on it, because it's like, oh, she's a gay. So many things would be changed around. If you were a girl, oh, your skirt has to be this low. Like, all these things. Your hands
up for your midriff.
The guys. So they always, when it comes to fashion, if it was so meaningless that some people like to say it is, then why would institutions go so hard in stopping us to wear what we want to wear? If it doesn't mean anything, then why are they afraid of it? Because then that's how you connect with your people. All the skaters look the same. All the ravers look the same. All the gangbangers look the same. And all the hood rat girls over there, so everybody finds their clique when we meet up at the, schoolyard. Almost, I hate comparing, I'm sorry guys, but like the prison yard. And you kind of know, like, oh, those are my people. And you gravitate to your people, whatever those people, the breakers. They had different outfits. Everybody had something, and that's how we found each other. But if we all look the same, or like uniforms, then it's a lot harder to find people that will understand what we're into, so it's really, really a deep thing. And that's kind of why I wanted to get into it and make it more of an apology letter to my younger self, because I was very self-conscious and all this other stuff, because society rules, blah blah. But then I was like, you know what, I want to now be fearless and wear whatever I want, whatever colors, and do all the things that they want to put you down for, like wearing braids. Oh, pareces India. Okay, well, what? Okay, and you want me to tell you what you look like? You don't want that. don't throw an insult, because it's like, do you really want me to return it? You don't want it. So it made me stronger. It made me build this one like strength that anytime somebody wanted to say something to me, like, oh, that looks thrifty, or that looks homemade, or whatever, then I would have something back to say. It's like, well, at least I don't look like an advertisement for Guess. Yeah. Do you even get paid for that? And it's like, oh, bitch, like, it just became a thing. Like, this is my armor. This is what I wear. Yeah. And you leave me and everybody else alone. And I want to inspire that in people. Like, be fearless in what you wear. And whatever they have to say to you, like, honey, if you don't like what I wear, why don't you go buy me something? You're not going to buy me any new clothes? Then shut the fuck up. Don't talk about me. Go buy me a dress from freaking Versace then. I'll take it. Yes, I will. Go ahead. You see how quiet they are. Then it's not that serious and don't look at me. Just because so many of us were bullied, felt insecure growing up, from the way we did our makeup to all this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm sick of that. So I want to inspire people to just have an attitude with the clothes they wear. And for anyone that doesn't like it, don't go home and throw away, like we were talking about, don't throw away like your overalls because somebody doesn't like it. Fuck it. You're going to wear it. And if they don't like it, they don't have to. You don't need to have that affect who you are. That's a them problem and not a you problem.
Yeah, and I resonate with that too, because that's my attachment too with fashion. It was like an act of rebellion against the social structures, whether it's school, whether it was work, whether it was even at home within our families and communities. También a veces, there was these strict rules of like, oh, las mujeres decentes usan esto, and las niñas no usan esto, no se ponen esto, and there was like, oh, that's chola, this, and they had their own projections. And through fashion, it was like, well, fuck it, I'm going to dress how I want to dress. And maybe at that time, we couldn't have access to the things that we could and how to express that. But there were certain things. I know that right after high school for me, too, I was like, well, fuck it. I worked in retail, so I had made my own money. So I'm now picking out my own outfits, creating my own things, making my own things. But yeah, it was an act of rebellion. I feel like even within our comunidad, that's been an ongoing thing. Fashion has been very deep rooted into our rebellion, into our movement, politics, everything. Like, people don't cross that fashion can be very political, and that really is. It's some people are out there protesting and wearing what they want to wear as an act of rebellion. It's an expression, so one of the things that you also mentioned was you throw it back at them when they're telling you to put an order. You throw it back at them. For you, how have you incorporate that into your brands, into your events, into just you in general, like how you are on social media? How have you incorporated that act of rebellion?
So for me, I love to just throw things at them that they didn't expect or they didn't want to see. So I started with models, and the models were my friends. Shout out to those friends from 20 years ago. Pobrecitas, I was like, I need you to be a model. And they're like, I don't give a shit. Like, I need you to do it because I want to show off the dark skinned girls, the, indígena, featured girls. I want to show the thicker girls. I did the movement of all of the inclusivity before the inclusivity word was even a thing. I was just fucking doing it because I got sick of, you have to be 6 feet tall, 19 years old, and white, like, and size 0. I'm like, okay. I mean, there is a reason for that. There is a reason for that because they need mannequins, they need walking hangers. So the industry does it for a reason, I understand. Pero I wanted us to see ourselves and get inspired by seeing ourselves. And that's why I did it. And so I have these old pictures of all different types of women that I used when I first started because they were my muses. And I'm like, look at how gorgeous you look. Look at how beautiful you look. And other people having to see it too and get them inspired. And so for me, whenever we do like a runway or a show, I just like to put things that are different together so that people can see themselves. Like, I've had ladies who are stunning, gorgeous, sexy, walking on the runway in lingerie. And these are women that are professionals. These are women that are now grandmothers. But when you look at them on the runway, you don't see a grandma. You probably don't even see a mom. You just see a hot woman because you can't stop. You can't just say, okay, now you're 30-year-old or now you're 40-year-old and like, put on like old lady clothes. Like, no, that's another thing with rebellion. Even women will come across women on comments. You're a mother. You shouldn't wear that. It's like, okay, off. That's what I mean when fashion is that serious that it pisses people off that you wear certain things because you're a mom and a mom should wear, I don't know, a floral print dress down to her ankles. I don't know what these people want you to wear. Fuck that. And you live for yourself. Yes, I understand people have children and that's beautiful, but you still live for yourself at the end of the day, because if you don't, you're going to be a miserable human who then turns to be a miserable mother. And then your child has a miserable mother. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I grew up with that. My mom was a very sad and angry woman when we were growing up because she had me when she was 21, didn't experience life, didn't travel, didn't do what she wanted to do, didn't really have youth, but now she has 2 kids, and that was the end of it. Back in those days, that was it. You were done. The moment you had a kid, it was over. Now you don't put makeup on, you don't do your hair, you don't go out. All your entire life was about serving the children and going to work. And you're going to do that until you fucking die. So I get it why women of certain generations, we grew up with them and they were angry because they are not doing what women these days do. Because you're a mom. You don't just stay home and bake cookies. You're living out your dream, you're pursuing your passion, and you're still a mom. Moms from back in the day, they couldn't do that. It was over. So what good does it do for you to be a miserable dad or a father or a mother coming home and then your kids can sense that energy? So do you all the time. You are number one. Please don't say your kids are number one. It doesn't make sense. When you go on an airplane and they give you the instructions of when the mask falls down, do they say put the mask on the kid first? No. Put the mask on you first so you can then save the kid. So you have to always look out for yourself first, so then you can look after your kid, your grandpa, whatever. So that whole my kid comes first thing, I know what you're saying, but you're not saying it correctly. You always have to take care of yourself first so that you could always be there for those you are taking care of. And fashion is one of those things. Today I got dressed up for you, and I got dressed up for me because I haven't gotten dressed up in over a month. I've been just prolongando, which has affected my attitude. I've been depressed and sad and all this other shit. Finally, that I got to do something with myself, I'm like, okay, I feel better. I feel energetic. I don't know what it is about doing something for yourself that just wakes you up inside. So I appreciate the interview today because it's doing it for me. But that's another thing too. It's not just pretty superficial clothes. It does something for you. And I want to do more than that. It's just wake up people and see the beauty in whatever it is that you want to do with your fashion. If it's new, upcycled, reworked, or even as far as like traditional, native traditions that we carry on. That's part of why I created that gala.
Yeah. And I love that you take it back to healing and our mental health and, even like the generational traumas that have been passed down to us, and without like subconsciously not us thinking like how much it does affect us, not just like on the surface level, like lo que miras, it is an internal thing, and it just projects out, and you are kind of projecting that out to the outer world. So if you are in community, you're like a miserable person inside, get that, with being in community, but not really projecting the healing that you've been, doing. So, and I love that too, because I'm in the same, we were just talking about that. I'm in the same boat. I'm like, people expect like fashion girls to always be fashionable and always be on their top of the game. But the reality is that we also go through our ups and downs. And since we have to get up, and this is part of our routine, our healing, our medicine, is to be like, you know what? No, I deserve this. I deserve to put this on. I deserve to create something beautiful that I'm proud to wear. Yeah. And it's like the feeling of me going and looking in the mirror and being like, I look good, I feel good.
Yes.
And then stepping out, and then, stepping out with like comunidad, stepping out at events and everything, and seeing people alike too that are also, who are probably dealing with bullshit on the back end. But this night, they're dressed up, they came in, se pusieron su magia, and they're out there. And I love that, you're creating Chicano elegance, which is, I don't even want to say it's the Met Gala, because it really is beyond that. It's cultura, it's bringing together indie designers that have not been highlighted, that should be highlighted even more, bringing together people in a common ground, like to really connect beyond like the art of fashion, right, the political of fashion, the community of fashion. You're bringing Chicano elegance. When did you just say like, hey, you know what? It's not around. I'm going to be the person that creates this, because that I've been wanting. Oh my God. I've been looking at these Met Galas and I'm like, I hope and I wish. And you were that person, and I am forever going to be like, yo, she did this. I am 100% behind you. But where did that, like, the boss, honestly, like.
Yes, I honestly didn't even want to do it. I wanted somebody to do it. Why didn't y'all do it? I waited 20 years for y'all. I really didn't want to do it, because producing an event is a whole nother beast. I like this designing and, all. That's what I like to do. Doing a production where I have to manage so many different departments, ideas, logistics. I mean, I hate it. It's horrible, but y'all weren't doing it. So I was like, bro, when is this going to happen? I've been waiting to be part of it or go to it. And yet it didn't happen. I mean, we had Latinos on the runways of different things. And I get that. And I think that's fucking awesome. I admire quite a lot of them. But what we didn't have, now we have actually a few, but what we didn't have when I came out with this was real representation of the Chicano community. And by that, I mean that we are not all the same. We are so fucking complex. This is the voice of the people that were profiled and discriminated. And a lot of them came out of really bad situations, whether they were in jail, whether they were on drugs, all kinds, whether they were ex-gang members. I don't know. Just think of all the fucked up shit that happens to the society and how some of us had to go through it, but then came out of it. So it's that community where some other ones may not be able to relate. Not every Latino knows what it's like to grow up in the projects or be surrounded by gangs. No, not everybody does. It's not even real. But a lot of us do. And we were always looked down on as, you guys are only good for criminals and you guys are only good for taking advantage of government, I don't know, money or whatever. I don't know. All these fucked up things that were associated and labeled with us, but nothing that was ever good. Chicano was never associated with beauty or intellect or gala or elegance. It just wasn't. So I got sick of that because in my community, I have met some of the best entrepreneurs, talented artists. And so I'm like, why do we not get our own shit where it's elevated and we don't have to just keep it on the dark, low, back alley? That's as far as our shows can go. Like, why? Why can't we level this up? There's nothing wrong with it. We're always hiding. I think it's that, and people are going to say, like, I wasn't hiding. Subconsciously, you were. You didn't want to be out there to white people or to other communities because tenían vergüenza. You don't want to admit it, and that's okay. One day it'll come to you because slowly it came to me too. It's a process. But you weren't putting yourself out there because les daba pena. And I've been to many runway shows here in LA, New York. I've seen them on TV. I've seen all these people doing the token thing, which again, cool. If you like it, I love it. I'm not mad at it. But it was very token. Like, look, we have that one designer. Look, here she is, that one. Now they can click off the little box. So y'all can leave us alone. We're not racist. Yeah. We have her. I got sick of it. It was very insulting. And it's what a lot of industries try to do. We gave you guys the Cheeto movie. Now we're going to cancel it and call it a day. But you were included. Don't say you weren't. They do that with TV shows and movies, all kinds of stuff. They always make us believe that something's going to change because they create one or they, whatever. But then it's over. It's done. It never gets the light of day that it deserves. It just doesn't. So I got fucking sick of that. And at that point, I no longer cared, and I still don't care about becoming part of those circles. I don't want to be part of the Vogue circles or the popular, TV. I don't give a shit. Y'all can keep that. I want to be something in the community that means more and bring us events worthy of us and just keep it there. I don't need all that BS. It doesn't really matter to me because at the end of the day, it's either fake or it's being forced, or they just want to check off that mark so they can, do their inclusivity check at the end of the year. They I'm good. And so this was created for us and by us, starring us, so that we could be happy in our own group. And the first year, last year was our first try. And I was like, Lord, please let it be what I want it to be. And it was. I mean, everybody showed up and showed out. And they always try to make us one note. Oh, it's going to be a bunch of cholos. Doesn't work that way. You guys don't know. What showed up were, yes, some of the homies showed up, but they looked great. They were in suits. Other people showed up. They were in pachuco outfits. Others showed up in straight like regalia from like Guatemala, from Mexico, Mexica. Others showed up in some like beautiful pinup stuff. Others showed up in just like florals and some more contemporary, and it's like hip hop and music. Everybody showed up in their own voice. So this breaks the glass that, oh, we're all just cholos. Like, no, dude, look around you. I have pictures. I have the receipts. We all were glamorous in our own way. None of us looked the same. Not one person looked the same that night. And that's what I like. When you go to industry events, if the color of the month is pink, everybody has the same damn pink dress, and it's annoying. I want individuality. because we don't have to all look the same. It's fucking weird, guys. Stop it. Be different. I don't care if it's still pink, but if you make it a different silhouette, I don't know, put something else into it, put you into it. And so it was such a success from the fact that everybody smiled at each other, which we don't. We carry around our resting bitch faces. We have a problem with that, and myself included. I'm no better. But that night we were all just smiling at each other because everybody just looked so fabulous that you just smiled. And I'm talking about men and women. And also I wanted to include the LGBTQ community because I feel like we are segregated in ourselves. There's the younger generation, there's the old bags like me and my peoples, and then there's also the LGBTQ that didn't feel like they could come to an event like this because historically our generation is still very atrasada when it comes to that. And I know because growing up, I heard it all the time.
Yeah.
All the slurs and oh my God, it's like, okay, dude, get over it. You guys really need to get over that. And so I made it a point to invite people from the LGBTQ community and let them know that this is going to be a safe space for them because these folks need to get over it. And the only way they're going to get over it is by us being together in the same time at the same place. You can't change it by just telling them, you be nice to those people. Okay. No, be with those people. Talk to those people. Bump into those people. Fucking share a drink with the people. That way they can see that you're not, this hardcore, horrible, mean cholo guy, even though you may look like that from the outside. But it's like, oh, hey, I'm sorry. And they're like, oh, he was nice to me. He was kind to me. Well, you look at that. And then vice versa. You don't look at them and think, oh, they're these crazy freaks. They're not freaks. They're regular people who live their truth and have more balls than we do because they do it loudly and proudly. And they could just be like, you know what? That was a cool dude. That was a cool girl. They are cool. And I like I like this. This is badass. And that's it. We don't have to do more than that. Y'all don't got to be friends. Go over to their house for dinner. Y'all don't even have to understand it. You don't even have to understand it. But just be able to get over that fear of, I can't be seen in a place where there's gay people, because a lot of the old people think that way. Oh no, and then it's like, oh my God. So we achieved that too. Everybody was mingling. Everybody thought it was great. Everybody was proud of everybody. Nothing bad was said. Nothing bad happened. It was a packed night. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. The feedback that I got was, we've never had anything like this for us, where we were celebrated and we were all red carpet, people. Nobody was like the backdoor people and only certain people are VIP. I hate that too. Everybody for our gala is a VIP. You're there. You are going to be on the red carpet. You're going to get photographs. You're going to get video. Here's a gift bag. Have a seat. Have a drink. There isn't no like, who are you? What's your name? Where do you come from? It's like, fuck all that. That's how they like to play that, and they can have that. I want to create something different. If you're there that night, you're there. Whether you know somebody or not, get to know somebody. A lot of people got to know each other that night. They connected and it made me so happy. They're like, yeah, we met at the thing. And I'm like, yay. All those things are the goal. And also raising money for nonprofits, local nonprofits. Last year it was a domestic violence shelter, and this year it's going to be for free local therapy for veterans and first responders and really the community. That's what we want to do. There is also a purpose to it. It's not just un desmadre. And so it means a lot to me. And we did it, like I said, on a trial basis. It was great. I was going to quit after that because it took a lot out of me. I was like, all right, y'all, you had it. I'm done. We're good. Bye. But my friends didn't allow me to quit. So now we brought it back. I'm still struggling with it because it's a lot of work. Like, it's killing me. But it's not about me, like I said before. Because if it was about me, I would have just been like, okay, I ain't doing this, goodbye. But it's about what it did to so many people and how it helped them a lot, and how I saw what it did. And for me to just quit right now would be a disservice to the community. So I have to, like, a huevo, I got to do it whether I like it or not. But it's not something I want to talk as like, this is my new venture, or my new business, or my new love. Like, I would love there to be a community of, como se dice, it's like a collective that can take over for the third year, where we have like a table of people that are delegated to each thing. Mm-hmm. And I could just be like, let me just sit back and let y'all just, I much rather have it done that way than me lining everything, because it's a lot. And so hopefully after this year, I can reassess like we do all the time, all of us, and say, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to make it into this, and then we can bring it back. But I don't want it to disappear because it's so amazing. This year is even better than last year. It's all interactive. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, that was my reason why I did it, which again, God bless you guys if you guys do events, because man, they they take so much out of you, girl. I don't know.
It does. And again, like, you know, I was getting teary-eyed because when I say it's like the Met Gala, pero para nada como like Met Gala. You're reshaping, and this is what the show's about, reshaping the narrative. You are reshaping the narrative of what it is to be Chicano, what we were perceived as, not just how other people perceive us in society and other races, but even ourselves, how we saw ourselves, how we didn't even think we were worthy of the places and communities and showing up like this, like the worthiness that we're pouring into each other, and being proud, like, you know what, I came from this background, I came from this, you know, history of oppression, of even oppressing each other, but it's okay, we're dismantling that within ourselves. And it's crazy that a lot of people think like you have to be so radical and do it in violence and do it in a protest and do it like all of this, and you know, those are great that we can have those, because I think that those are important, but to know that it's in a fashion event and a gala and a celebration, it's joy rather than violence. It's joy,
and it's still a protest,
and it's still a protest.
There's subliminals in there.
Exactly, it's an act of rebellion. You know, and you know, there's a time and a place, you know, and it's reshaping the narrative what it is, fashion, because it isn't superficial, at least not for us, you know, at least for the people that really understand it. And again, it's also too reshaping that narrative of within our own community of like the homophobia, the, you know, just misogyny, all of that, and it's putting in everybody in one room, dressed up, dancing, drink in their hand, community, you know, and really understanding each other, that we're not a monolith, we're not all the same person. And it's crazy that you say cholo too, because I feel like that has been the narrative of who we are. If we ever associate with Chicano, it is automatically put in this box as criminal, as, you know, gang members, violence, and everything. And this is like saying, you know what? No, that's not our narrative. You know, we're taking back our power and really saying, no, Chicano it's a movement, it's an identity, it's a feeling, it's rebellion, it's much more than what they portrayed us. And then you start really unpacking how
all the layers, all the layers of the onion, because being Chicano, you know what cruising is. You don't have to explain it. Other people are like, what the hell is that? You know what certain, you know, slangs are. If I talk about the ghetto bird, if we bust any quotes from Blood In, Blood Out, you know, we don't have to explain it to you. You kind of get it. If you know, you know. We talk about things back in my day, like the party line, and it's like, what the hell is that? Like, oh, honey, you don't even, I can't explain it to you. You got to be there. So it's these things that we can talk about and laugh about now because we survived it and we're still here. And a lot of us are doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, big baller people, big creative people. So we're not, just because we know what's up, we can relate to it, or we came from it or overcame it, that doesn't mean that we forget about how we got here. It might have been ugly and grimy, but you also can't forget that. And some people try to erase their past by like, oh yeah, you know, I grew up in a home like this, my parents came home, we had dinner at 5 every night. No, your parents probably never even saw them because they were working so hard. I know I didn't. That's why I was a mess. No one was watching us, so I was just running the streets like an idiot. And so you can't forget that that's how you came about. You can't be ashamed of it. A lot of people are ashamed of it. It's like, it's okay. It's okay that you didn't come from perfection. That's fine. What is perfection? I don't even know what that is. But also too, to bring it back to historical, so we don't come from the third world, the lower class. That's not our origins. And I like to put some videos up on my page like that, just little historic bits. When the Spanish or the colonizers came, they found us living our best life. We were dripped in jewels, gold, silver. We had feathers, headdresses, ceremonial dress, beaded. I mean, we were flyer than a motherfucker when they got here. And what did they do? they jacked us, took it all. And it's in England and all the France, and it's on their displays. It's on their castles. It's on the Queen of England's fucking, crown or whatever. That's where all our shit went. We literally, you want to talk about ghetto? We weren't the ghetto people. Those were the ghetto people that came over and jacked us. That's ghetto. And they took it all and left us in shit. Slaved, quarantined, fucking put down as lower class, as sirvientes. But that's not how our origins. And you can go and find it out for yourself. That is not our origin. Our origin is rich, is beautiful, it's regal, it's all these beautiful things that they ripped from us, and it's stayed ripped for the longest time. So then when you have girls like you and I, that color, it's a India, all that hair, all those brows, that eye color, and all these fucked up things that people would say to us from other Latinos. And then you watch the novelas. We're always the maid, the babysitter. That's our main, we're never the starring role. For whatever reason, we're just the background. And even now, I've met people who are influencers who have millions of followers and, are very popular. Even they told me, when we get invited to big events and we walk in the room, people still look at us weird. Like, 100%. like, why are you here? Like, you don't belong here. So it doesn't matter how much money you make, how much following and influence you have. The moment you walk into the room with these other people, they're still not going to look at you with that awe and respect that you think you're going to get. Maybe someday that might change. Right now, it's a little fake, or it just doesn't exist. Yeah. And people have, because they felt it. I mean, they'll still get that, oh, hey, but you still feel it. You don't feel it genuinely. So this is also a movement to remind us that that's not where we came from. We started real good until these people jacked us. So we're trying to reclaim it all back. Like, let me wear all the beads, all the, joyas, and wear my trenzas from here to the floor, and, be as indígena as I want to be. That's not a bad thing. People used to say that India Maria or whatever, like, oh, you look like Pocahontas, when I would have my braids on. I'm like, oh my God. Now I wear, and I was like, why? Jealous? Because I don't have to get extensions. Yeah. Now I say that. Now I bring it back to them. When they say, oh, los colores de tu ojo es color de, whatever, mierda or whatever. Then I say something else back to them, which I won't repeat, because I'm very harsh when it comes to insults. But this is the way to take it back. Whatever they say is wrong with you, it's not. They are just jealous of it, because who goes tanning to get this?
Yeah.
Who goes to the hair person to get thicker hair to have this? Who also is out there doing makeup tutorials and creating makeup kits with a chola lip, they called it as something else? Who's out there getting the hoops, and all of a sudden now they're in fashion?
Yeah.
Same thing with urban clothing. All of a sudden, everybody and their mother has tattoos from head to toe. And it's like, okay, I thought fine. Same thing with the clothes. The clothing. You see all these girls trying to be like cholas. I'm like, so there was never anything wrong with us. There was never anything wrong with us. They just didn't want us to have it. That's all it was. But when they have it, then it's cool. Then the long nails are cool.
Yeah.
I thought they were ghetto. I thought all these things were ghetto, but now because you're doing it, they're not ghetto. But when I do it, it's ghetto.
It's fashion for them.
It's fashion and innovative. Yeah. But when I did it, it was criminal or whatever. And so we just have to, that's what I'm saying. Fashion is so much deeper than just, it's cute. It goes hard. And even with the Pachuco riots, they beat the shit out of these people, fucked them up, threw them in jail. I think even a few were killed. Women were raped because they were wearing their shit proudly. Y Chingonas. They were just walking in like, I don't give a fuck, just like that. And what happened? They fucked them up for that. That's all they were doing, is being badasses. Because why? Because jealousy is a disease. Jealousy is a monster. And they can't see the community being happy and living amazingly, walking in like, we the shit. They can't see that. So then what do you do in rebellion? Continue to show up like that. Yeah. Like, damn, look at me, I'm fly. And what's up? Whatever. Do you want to beat my ass? I wish the hell you would. That's why I do it. I'm waiting for someone one day to just be like, girl, I don't want, why are you wearing that? Like, because I can, Yeah. That's it. That's what it is. It's an act of rebellion. And just be very proud of whatever you have. If you're Afro-Latina, don't be ashamed of that. If you're, Indígena Latina, like, you have indigenous feature, like, don't get a nose job. Your nose is beautiful. It's fine. Don't dye your hair to be blonde. It's fine. You're gorgeous. Just live in that. And I'm not shading my other peoples. Like, if you are a really, really white Latino, then be a white Latino. That's fine. You don't have to be like, it's weird when people try to be something else. Like, I've seen like white people like tan really crazy and get all this. I'm like, girl, you were fine the way you were too. We're not trying to make everybody look like us. We just want you to be happy however you came into this world, and embrace that. So even if you are because I also hear a lot of white Latinos, oh, I'm ashamed of my arms or my legs, I'm too white. That's okay. Why are you ashamed of it? Like, it's fine. Just, put some SPF on so you don't burn. But you look fine. Everybody's fine the way that we came to this world. So it's not just about us. I know I mention us a lot because that's what it is, but it's about everybody being comfortable, because it would be a shame if we all look the same. I want to look like nobody else. I love seeing different people, redheads and braids and, these kind of hairs and that type of hair. And I love that. I love that.
No, and I love that you center us and center Indigenous features and Black features and all of that too, and showing a different type of Latino, because for a long time it was suppressed. Like you said, it was that's pushed aside. So it wasn't in mainstream media. It's not in mainstream media. Like, I mean, they tokenize it now, but it's not seen. It wasn't seen like that. So I think that it is okay to have that be, kind of get their spot like that and understand that. And because, like you said, like the nose job, everybody, I remember going like, oh, I wanted to model, or I wanted to dance, or I wanted to be on TV, and they were like, but you need to get a nose job first. You need to like tone this down. You need to like, not be so loud, not be like this, or act this way, over sexualized, or, and I'm young at that time, so I didn't know any of those things, like, I'm like, okay, it's different. I'm a 38-year-old woman now, like, versus how I was barely in my, that I'm not that, and I think that happens a lot to the women especially the women of color. We are thrown all these narratives, all these things that we should be ashamed of, from our body, our features, to who we are, and like our personal, that, fashion has given us like that, like a superpower of like feeling like, no, like this is me. And whether you want to show it all off or, be, completely eclectic and completely different, it's you, and it's a way of healing, then go for it. But I love that you brought that up, because that's a really important thing. A lot of our fashion is very deep rooted into identity and rebellion and history, that we forget that it was taken from a lot of these trends, a lot of these things that they took to Europe, that you see in the New York Fashion Week, that you see in Milan, that you see in these things where they say, oh, esto es lo fino, oye, esto no es fino, esto es de Europa, es fino. But the reality is, no, look, we were the finos, like, and I love that you're showcasing that history, because it's important, and that also kind of pours back into our self-worth. When you started, thrifty, let's talk about thrifts for you, because I really love that you touch on Indigenous, features, Indigenous, embroidery, to it, just in general, just spotlighting who we are as our roots, because a lot of us neglect that side of us, don't know about it. We didn't, we're starting to reclaim it a little bit. Also, it's like, I don't know about it a lot, because we were shamed. So
our parents'
much.
generation and all of those generations were shamed to the point that they didn't want to, like my family, they don't want to talk. Well, now barely, but before it's like, no, we don't talk about that. We're just this is where we are. We're from the capital, somos de Lima, and that's it. And I'm like, huh? I was like, I know we have something. I know we're either like Quechua or we're Aymara. Like, there's all these different, just like there's Mexica and then there's Mayan, and there's all these different things. But it got beaten down so bad because of all the shaming and bullying that they don't want to talk about it. And it's like, no, this is what we are. It's like, okay, so you have to try to rediscover. And if you can't rediscover because we don't have that ancestry shit going on for us, just be who you are and just look in the mirror and be like, oh, I mean, that'll tell you right there. Even if I didn't, like, let's say I was adopted by the whitest people on earth, look at me. I mean, it's like all over me. I can tell that my roots come from deeper connections from our ancestors, and it's time to celebrate it. So we had different designers. We had one that Anguiano Designs, Maria Huera. So she had these beautiful presentations of wings for Mexico because of the águila. And then it was like Sarape on one end and the águila on the other end. She had a gorgeous charra dress like they do with the mariachis, right? But she made it into a gown. So it had a long train and a gown. And then we had Ariana Rodriguez, who had these beautiful like headpieces of floral that highlight more of the golden age in Mexico, cine de oro. And so there was more like beautiful hats and like these old like timeless like 50s ball gowns and beautiful things like that. Then we had Paulina, who focused a lot on the culture and the traditions of like Dia de Muertos. So she had Catrina's headpieces. She had an outfit that was Frida inspired. Everybody came with different, I mean, everybody understood the assignment to a T. Mm-hmm. It was amazing. And then people got to see this and saw it celebrated. And it's not something that you should hide. And this year, we're not holding back. We're bringing House Oscura, an LGBT couple who is incredibly talented, amazing. They designed for the gods, honey. This is like glam into another level. So I can't even wait to see what they bring on the runway. We're going to have a Señora Calzones, who is basically, to me, a Victoria's Secret leveled up version with Latinas that have curvas, and it's sexy, but it's more complicated. You know, it's nothing you could send out and have it made in China, honey. She has to make it for you the way it's done. We have Morena Mia, who's bringing more of this like vaquera flavor, like, you know, urban, and it's gorgeous, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's contemporary. It doesn't look like, oh, algo de viejito, like absolutely not, you know. And then we also have Yesenia of Chingona magazine, and she's bringing that street flair and culture, and I can't wait because she's told me how she's going to design it. And so this is for our lowrider people and our street people to just be like, we can be more than just t-shirts and jean people. Yeah. Like, look at what they can bring. And so it brings all the different colors of the rainbow, if you will, again. And it's amazing. And I just want us to just be happy that this is who we are, and they can't take it away from us. They can tell us not to wear it. They can ban it. They could even make it, and that's fine. If you see them making it, then you know that it's just bootleg. That's just all it is. And just embrace who we are and why it is so important, and why it's even more important to come together and support each other with things like this. Because if you don't, then it all disappears, and then we're back to being the background bitch. And then people say, well, how come there's no more events like this? Or why did it stop? Because y'all ain't supporting.
Yeah.
Period. If you're not supporting, it can't support itself. So it's very important to, people will text me or DM me, how can I support? I'm like, well, the link is in the bio.
Show up.
And that's it. You ain't got to do, you don't have to pick up trash. You don't have to put out tables. You don't got to do nothing. Just show up. Trust me, I'm giving you the easiest way you could support. Easiest. Show up, have a good time. I don't know how easier it can get. You don't want me to tell you what you can do on the back end because it's a lot. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to make calls. You don't want to go to meetings. You don't want to put up the money to secure the location. Y'all don't want to do that. And I don't want you to either. Let me handle that. But what I want you guys to do in order to be able to keep this going is show up, support, have a good time.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah. So show up, support, repost, tell your friends, anybody that you know that it's like will understand this. And again, there's something for everyone, from lowrider homies to the glam life, to the like vaqueros, the urban vaqueros. So there's gonna be food, there's gonna be DJs, there's gonna be comunidad, and from different parts of, you know, I even talked to somebody from Texas. They're like, I'm gonna fly in, and I was like, yes, like, if you can make it and fly in, please, because it is, you know, one of the biggest events that I know that is going to happen in the community. And it's not just, because it's fashion. It is because it's bringing so many different people from different backgrounds, from different professional, like, personalities together. And it's like a common goal is to just like show up and be yourself. Like,
and don't let the name discourage you either, because some people will say, oh, it's Chicano and I'm not Mexican. Neither am I. So it's okay. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to be Mexican American from LA. It doesn't mean that. It's just that Chicano's the subculture that I grew up with. That's what I relate to. That's just what it is. It's honestly that simple. And it's not just me. Salvadoreños, Guatemaltecos, de Honduras, muchos de ellos have hit me up and like, oh, will I be? No, dude, are you kidding? You know what's up. We don't have to explain it to you. We don't have to show you a chart. You already walk in and you already know what's up. So it's for everybody to come through. And even if you're not from the scene, culture, what have you, experience it. I dive into things that I have no business being at, but I ando, because this is how you educate yourself and you learn. So even if this has nothing to do with you, why not come in that night, check it out, for yourself and see what the community is all about before you judge us from other bad things that you have heard.
Yeah. And that's one thing with Chicana in the city too. It's like I'm not just highlighting Chicano. Yes, I'm amplifying the narrative of Chicano, but it's definitely reshaping that it's not just a certain identity. It's not some certain nationality or ethnicity. It really is, we're a mixture of so many just so many cultures, we're a product of our environment. It's a product of who we are, like we reflect one another. So we should be proud of who we are in the Chicano term, but also it opens up to so many people like who have the same struggles, who have the same harmful narratives, who don't fit in, who found, space in the community and built community and are reshaping the narrative of what it is to be, a Chicano, a Latino, whatever you identify yourself, but it is a community space, know? So I thank you for that, for creating this space. I know it's a lot of work, and how can people also, is there donations? Is there support? Do you, who want to maybe next year want to be a part of a committee where can they find you or reach out to you?
So we have an Instagram called under Chicano Elegance at Instagram at Chicano Elegance, and right there we have a link to the tickets to purchase, and then you can also go to chicanoelegance.com, the official website as well. You can email us through there. You can see who has sponsored the event, everything we have. It's all documented from last year, and we're updating the things from this year. And if you want to get involved or reach out to the nonprofit, you could do that directly. If you can't make it, but you want to donate a couple of tickets to somebody else, we can work that out and say, hey, my insurance company in Ohio can't make it, but we would love to donate a couple of tickets for someone out there to enjoy it. Let's do that, and we can give those away. So many different ways of doing it, just so that we can make this happen is really the goal. And even with sponsorships, I always ask, please make sure that you make the check out directly to the Warriors Road nonprofit. That way I'm not getting it. I'm just trying to make this happen with the sales of the tickets, but any actual fundraising efforts and all of that, I definitely want it to go to the nonprofit.
Yeah, thank you. And that's a good, the purpose behind it too is such significant too, because it does affect our community more than we think. Same thing with fashion, your big part is sustainability, people not understanding climate change and all of these things that they hit our community harder first, and it's an ongoing. That's why we're so set back. It's because these things get really hit. People are talking about climate change now, but that's been we saw the landfills of clothing in a lot of the third world countries, and that's why they call them third world, because that's where they send their trash to.
And we're actually the OG recyclers. I hate how everything gets turned around here and it's all of a sudden radical. We're the OG recyclers, guys. We would use the hell out of something until there was nothing left. That's our culture. And the way we grew up, same thing with bolsas, periódicos, things. And that's why you sometimes see, it's fun. We make fun of it, but the Tupperware, there was actually a mantequilla, but now it's a Tupperware because we don't throw things out, because we're the OG recyclers. But then they bring it here and all of a sudden it's radical. Same thing with holistic or green living. I'm like, we are the OG ones of that. We were the non-pesticide people, green people. OG, remedios are the herbs. And again, they rebranded it, and all of a sudden anything holistic or green is now from what is it? One of those stores, I forgot what it's called, but it's from us, guys. Yeah. The OG recyclers are us. The OG, green living people are us. We just have to get back to the root. And the OG Chingonas are also us. And again, because of the name of the event, Chicano, I'm neither a Mexican or a man. I'm aware of this, but it's just easier and it flows off the tongue. That's all it is. It's not meant to separate women or anybody else. It's just easier. And we are hard as hell to put a label on. When you have the other groups, they say Black Excellency or something like that. It's easier, but we are not the same. We are white, black, yellow, brown. We are so we can't say brown, because a lot of us are not brown. Me and her are brown, but a lot of other people are not. Yeah. So that feels like I was excluding them. I couldn't call it, the more indigenous. I couldn't, because not everybody's indigenous. I couldn't call it Latino because people hate that word. I could definitely not use it Hispanic. So we are just a pain in the ass to name. Yeah. There is no one size fits all to resolve this issue. So I just went with the one word that I could relate to as far as the culture that accepted me and brought me in when I was basically a fish out of water. I'm from Peru, so all of my people on the East Coast, they're not here. So nobody understood what the hell I was saying, even in Spanish. Nobody understood what the fuck I was eating. Like, none of it made any sense. So it was weird, but they still took me in, the Chicano culture, and embraced me as one of their own. And so it's kind of like an homage, and I owe it to them as a thank you, because otherwise I would have been by myself. I had nothing. Nobody else was like, yeah. So it's definitely like my thank you to the Chicano community for not judging me, for accepting me, for loving me till this very day. And that's why I named it that, Chicano elegance. So please don't take it as a man Mexican thing. It's not, because I'm neither a man or Mexican.
I love that you did call it Chicano elegance, because Chicano and elegance have never been in the same sentence.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get emotional about, because that word has been used to really tell us like we're not worthy, we're nada, like lo peor de lo peor. And when you identify as Chicano, you're taking that back. You're like, you know what, no, that's not it. So I love that you reshaped it, even with the words, because it's so powerful to just put Chicano and elegance together. Whether you don't, maybe you're not like Chicano and you're feeling like, there's a lot of people that are like, I didn't call myself Chicano because there's a shame behind it, or it's just cholo, or it's just criminal, it's violence, it's this, or I'm not Mexican American, but it's so much more than that. It's cultura, it's comunidad, it's people that embrace other people from different communities, different ethnicities. It's all of us, and Chicano is just completely taking a whole different, light of its own. So I want to thank you again. Like I sat here and I'm very intentional with who I meet, who I connect with, and it's not just because you're throwing this event, but because I knew there was a purpose behind it, and I saw it without even having this conversation.
Yeah,
I think the couple times that I've met you, I'm like, oh, she gets it.
You're like, this is gonna be a deep conversation, and
she gets it.
And mind you, we've only taken one layer on this conversation.
Exactly, because I know
so
I'm
much deeper.
I feel like I've known you. I get you. Like I grew up. Like I feel like I'm like, yeah, this. I get it. But anybody who wants to tackle something like this, you have any advice? But especially women of color, especially women who are out there, because we're taking the lead right now. A lot of estamos bien chingonas ahorita, and we've been seeing things that don't exist there, but we want to create it. Like a lot of these brands that you're bringing in, there were brands that didn't exist, that don't exist, like and they came in and they're like, I'm gonna create it. It doesn't exist in our community, it's not being showcased. I want to create it. If somebody wants to create a space like Chicano Elegance, or a brand, or just a community, or whatever they want to take, what's your biggest advice for that?
My biggest advice is, one, do your research, because I'm huge on that. Do your research as to what it takes to build something like that. Start looking at other events, for example. Like me, everything for the Chicano Elegance, I copied from other white people events. Don't care, no shame in it. I did. I was like, oh, I want that. So it was like a copy drag. Like, I want this red carpet, and da-da-da. Do your homework that way on how you want it to happen. Visualize that. Second most important thing is your tribe. Find your tribe, because they're the ones that are going to help you out. You can't do it on your own. I say I take a lot of this on my own, but I'm not on my own. There's quite a different, moving parts to this, and it's because of them. And shout out to Chicano Hollywood, Johnny, he's one of them. And shout out to Chicano Music Festival, that's another one. We're not all the same people, guys. We're all different. So there's all these different movements and people you got to connect with, so that they can tell you ideas, or they can give you feedback, and they can keep you together and accountable. So that's another one. And then the third one is budget. Make sure you budget so that you don't stress yourself out, you don't go broke. Whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's a $20 event or a $20,000 thing, just make sure that like, listen, I got to make sure I'm good and I can eat and live and all this stuff, and that I could make this be something that will either pay for itself or even gain you a little bit of a profit if it's a business. Those three things are huge. And then the last one, which is also huge, make sure that you are always checking in with yourself. Because the event has broken me down so many times I've lost count. But that's because I suffer internally with my own demons. But we're all different. Some of us may be the most positive chipmunk that there is, and some of us live with a really negative voice in our head. So make sure you're correct, because taking on something big, will have you questioning everything all the time, and just always make sure, like, are we okay? Do we need to take a break? So those are big things to take on before you do something like this or while you're doing it. And keep in mind that, just keep working at it, just keep reaching out. All the naysayers or people that just ignore you or people that just say, like, oh, I'll pass, that's fine. That's just the universe telling you that ain't it. Maybe you move on to a bigger one. We had quite a few like rejections when we reached out for sponsorships, and we were just getting so sad at that point. We're like, oh my gosh, nobody believes in us. But basically, it was just throwing those smaller companies away so that a bigger one can come in. And that bigger one was like, I got you, fam. And I was like, so it's just keep going. Just keep going. You believe in yourself, just keep going.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. I think that we all needed to hear that, especially because we're all here building, like, we're reshaping our own narratives and seeing, like, oh, we can seeing you build that, we can do that, like, like, and that's why I love that you're doing it and you're showing and you're being honest of like what the work is and all that too, because a lot of people don't show the glamour, ya cuando todo está bien y todo, like the post party, but there's a lot that goes into it, and there's even during that journey there's a lot of doubts, there's a lot of like, so checking in with yourself, I definitely agree with that, especially like Chicana City people don't understand, like, girl, like I be hustling, like, like people be like, they're like, oh, she's so, I'm like, girl, you don't understand. I'm like, took me a minute to get up today. But thank you so much for connecting with us today. And I always like to end the segment too with, what would you say to little Elvira that was out on the streets haciendo su desmadre y todo, pero had this passion that later came in, but she didn't know, she didn't want to listen to it, but now she's over here like Chingona and inspiring me, because I was on the streets too, like not doing what I was supposed to be doing,
not
but
all of us on the streets.
Yeah, we're like, oh my goodness, the kickbacks, the teaching school and all of that, and what would you say to little Elvira now?
Oh, this is super emo, so I'm gonna try to not have it look like a breakdown. I would tell little E to not, oh god, this is personal as hell, but that's okay. To not end it yet, because there's a lot of more beautiful things to come. And for those who know, they know, but some of us suffer, like I said, with really bad demons and negative thoughts, and they're always trying to bring you down. And when I was younger, I wanted it to just end. I wanted the pain, the misery, and the suffering to end. And I was looking for somebody to do it, because clearly I wasn't brave enough. But no matter what happened to me, even when I got shot at, still didn't. I was like, bro, nobody was ending it. And there was a reason why, because there was actually a light at the end of this horrific tunnel. So I would just tell little me, like, listen, hang on. Don't end it yourself. Don't look for someone else to end it for you. There is greatness ahead, and just hang on. Believe in yourself.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. And I resonate with that too. So, muchas gracias. And make sure you guys check in with Chicano Elegance Thrifts. Follow them, support, buy the ticket. I better see you guys at Chicano Elegance, because I will be there, and we're all going to be dressed up and doing our thing. So, and that's on June 15th,
yes,
Saturday, June 15th. So celebrate the summer with that. And that actually will be our season finale, and we'll do the recap there. So thank you guys for riding this journey with me. I'm Chicana in the City, your host, Natalie Garcia. And until next time.
Yay! Ooh, that's super emo.
Oh, that's beautiful. I know. And that question